watching Newsday TV. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ken Bufa. The state health department has identified a measles case in Suffolk County. Now, the patient is younger than 5 years old, and the child is being treated at Cohen Children's Medical Center. And in a few moments, we'll hear from a doctor about the risks and what to do to protect yourself. And a Brentwood pastor pleaded guilty to sexual exploitation of a child. Jose Saiz Jr. was a pastor at Iglesia Cristiana Alumbrando El Camino Church in Brentwood. The 29-year-old will face at least 15 years in prison when sentenced. And only in Newsday, court documents say former Nassau County Executive Ed Mangano will be resentenced. Now, this comes just weeks after a court tossed 2 counts of his public corruption case. The 62-year-old is serving a 12-year sentence, but the recent reversal could reduce his prison time. And you can now have more options to fly to North Carolina and Florida out of MacArthur Airport.
You know, and if it's easier than going to the city, that's always beats it, that's for sure. So I love that, yeah.
Velo Airlines is adding discount flights to Wilmington, Concord, and Lakeland. Flights start May 22nd. And Vintage Wine Bar and Bistro in Farmingdale is closing its doors. The owner says the wine bar will be shutting down on April 7th because of rising costs. It was in business for nearly a decade over on Main Street. And Billy Joel is rescheduling his tour because of a medical condition. The 75-year-old musician says his current tour will resume in July so he can recover from surgery and undergo physical therapy. Let's take a quick look at tomorrow's weather. We had an absolute beautiful day today, and tomorrow it looks just as good, maybe a little cooler with temps in the high 40s, and we do have some clouds overhead, but we will have the 7-day forecast later in the broadcast. The Suffolk County Health Department reported its first confirmed case of measles. So joining us now is Dr. Matthew Harris, emergency medicine at Cohen Children's Medical Center. And Dr. Harris, should people be concerned about this case?
You know, look, measles was nearly eradicated in the early 2000s because of compliance with the 2-dose vaccine, the MMR vaccine. So the emergence of measles here in New York and in many states throughout the country is highly concerning, because there are many children who have extraordinarily high risk for the complications of measles, namely those under the age of 1. So I think this is highly concerning.
So just to confirm, who is the most at risk when it comes to measles?
Sure. Like many other vaccine-preventable illnesses, those who are not fully vaccinated are at risk for severe disease, such as pneumonia or encephalitis, which is inflammation of the brain. So children cannot get vaccinated for the most part until the age of 1. So children under the age of 1, those who are immunocompromised, and the elderly are at very, very high risk.
And what are some of the symptoms of measles?
You know, so measles starts off, like many other viral illnesses, with cough, runny nose. What really distinguishes measles is the conjunctivitis, or the red eyes that they get, followed by a very, very impressive red rash on the chest and abdomen that sort of spreads out. Looks like red paint has been thrown onto the child. They can become extraordinarily irritable and go on to have other symptoms like diarrhea, nausea, and poor feeding. It's really important that if you have an unvaccinated child with these symptoms, that you contact your pediatrician or your primary care physician, even before necessarily going to the hospital, because we want to make sure that the hospital is prepared to receive you. You know, measles spreads very, very quickly in places like hospital waiting rooms or hospital emergency departments. So anything we can do to keep children safe, both the child who's infected and those who could potentially get infected, is really quite paramount.
You know, you touched on vaccinations. So what should people know about measles shots or even boosters?
So the good news is this, you know, after your first dose of the vaccine, which is given around 12 to 15 months, you're already 93% affected. And by the time you've had your second dose between 4 and 6 years, you're close to 97% protected. So if you have gotten 2 doses of the vaccine, you are considered immune and, for the most part, totally safe after an exposure, right? These vaccines have been around for decades. There's a strong body of evidence supporting not only their efficacy, but their safety. So these are safe, highly effective vaccines, and it's really, really prudent for parents to get these vaccines for their children on the appropriate schedule.
Important information. Thank you so much, Dr. Matthew Harris, emergency medicine at Cohen Children's Medical Center. Again, doctor, thank you for joining us. Now, officials say the potential exposure occurred from March 3rd to March 4th at the Pediatric Emergency Department and from March 3rd to March 6th at the Medicine 3 unit. Now, officials say a second raccoon has tested positive for rabies this year in Suffolk. Sherry Einhorn will tell us more.
I have a lot of concerns.
We met Amityville's Timothy Lay while he was out for an afternoon walk with his dog Baxter. He was well aware and worried about the 2 rabid raccoons found in his neighborhood since the end of January.
When he comes out at night, we just use a bigger flashlight. If they are around, we just hopefully could scare them away with that.
Before this year, Suffolk had not reported a rabid raccoon since 2009. But Nassau County has reported rabies in 6 raccoons and 2 feral cats between July 2024 and January of this year.
Untreated rabies is fatal. It gets us to the nerves, gets us to the central nervous system, attacks the brain, and it's 100% fatal. But with intervention, with vaccination, what we call rabies immune globulin, even with exposures, we can make sure that that is not something that's going to cause a fatality.
In addition to raising awareness, Suffolk health officials say they've also increased monitoring along the Nassau-Suffolk border. Residents are being urged to leash their pets, avoid feeding stray animals, and steer clear of touching dead or dying wildlife. Eddie O'Rourke told me he's always on the lookout, but hasn't seen any raccoons around lately.
I watch, just like I'm watching for dead birds in my yard and everything else.
If you spot a raccoon that seems to be acting strangely, report it by calling either the Suffolk Police Department at 631-852-COPS or the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation at 631-444-0250. In Amityville, I'm Sherry Einhorn for Newsday TV.
You never know what you will find here, but you do know that it'll be one of a kind. I'm Elisa DiStefano. Come shop with me at the shops at Sweet Pieces. Let's go this way. The shops are right downstairs from Sweet Pieces, a full-service interior design store in Huntington Station. And there's so much to see here.
You can come here and have us help you design something as small as a pillow or your whole entire house.
Can I sit on it?
Please do. It's so comfortable.
It's so comfortable. To shop some more. Downstairs is a treasure trove. It's been recently reimagined and is home to boutique rental spaces for creative entrepreneurs and small businesses. You'll find antiques. There's so much to look at, but my eye goes right to this beautiful china.
This is a 1940s occupied Japan porcelain tea set.
Sure I don't drop it. And furniture. You have so many beautiful, unique things for the home, but this end table is really something special. And the price point's really incredible.
Yeah, we try to find things that are affordable and accessible to everyone.
Yeah, you think antiques, you think you're going for like a lot of money. And it's a destination for vintage, upcycled clothing, and handcrafted jewelry. I can't pass by something sparkly and not stop.
It's done by a small women-owned studio, and each one is individually made.
So no one will have the same earrings as me.
If you are somebody who loves the hunt and you love to kind of find things, you don't have to dig so much. It's like every single treasure is something that you would want to put in your home.
This is my side gig or my side hustle. I have 3 kids in college. I'm a full-time teacher, a science teacher. So this is something that I can make a little bit of money, but I really enjoy.
We all like bounce ideas off of each other and cross merchandise. It's a great collaborative space. Really, it's a collective.
And they look great. Now let's take a closer look at your 7-day forecast, shall we, to see how the weekend is shaping up. I know it's far from now, but I'm always looking. As you can see, we're dry on Saturday, which is nice. We were raining yesterday. But for this week, you can see temps are near the 50s. Sun will be out behind some clouds. And again, rain moving in next week, if not Sunday.
Long Island weather is brought to you by PTRC.
You're watching Newsday TV. For more on the stories you've seen here today, head over to Newsday.com. I'm Ken Buffa. Thank you so much for joining us.